In this video, Jinwoo got a new Rizz on his hands, but as sparks fly between them, Cha Hae-In can't hide her jealousy. Will Jinwoo stay in Korea, or will he go to America, like Hwang Dong-soo? So watch until the end. At the Knights Guild headquarters, tension filled the air. Kim Yoontae approached Park Jong-soo with urgent news. A new gate had appeared yesterday, but there was an issue: they hadn't received the entry permit from the Hunters Association. Jong-see's expression hardened. Is it S rank? Yoontae quickly shook his head. No, but it's a top-tier A rank. Jong-soo grimaced. They didn't have the manpower to form a proper assault team, and if they failed, people would question their reputation as one of the top 5 guilds. Yoontae hesitated before adding, if we pass on this, the Fame Guild will take it instead. Jong-soo's eyes twitched in irritation. Are you suggesting we just hand it over to Dongwook? Yoontae swallowed. I'm just saying, it could happen. Jong-soo sighed. Their A-rank hunters were strong, as good as any other guilds, but their biggest weakness, they had no S-rank hunter. A moment of silence followed. Then, young Yerim, their A-rank healer, spoke up. What if we form an alliance? Jong-soo frowned. With another guild? Do you really think they'd agree? Yerim shook her head. Not a guild. An individual. Jong-soo scoffed. One hunter won't be enough for a raid like this. But then a name came to mind. Sung Jinwoo. Forming a guild alliance could damage their reputation, but joining forces with Jinwoo? That could be a game-changer. Jong-soo turned to Yoontae. What's Jinwoo been up to lately? Yoontae immediately responded. Jinwoo had cleared a gate on the highway, but besides that, he had been keeping a low profile. Yoontae asked if he should reach out to Jinwoo. Jong-soo shook his head. No, we'll go see him in person. The Ahjin Guild is born. Meanwhile, at Jinhwa's new office, a new guild was being formed. Sitting across from Jinho, Jinwoo finally made his decision. We'll call it Ahjin Guild. Jinho's face lit up. That's perfect. Though, deep inside, he sighed in relief. At least it's not Solo Player Guild. With the guild name decided, only one thing remained: the final founding member. Jinho's first thought? Cha Hae-In. What about Hunter Cha? Jinwoo shook his head. She's not the right fit. Jinho was stunned. Cha Hae-In, an S-rank hunter, skilled, young, and even beautiful. Who could possibly be better? Jinho hesitated, then asked, then, what kind of person are you looking for? Jinwoo replied, someone with a hunter's license, no interest in guild activities, but trustworthy. Jinho thought hard. Did he know anyone like that? Just as he was about to speak, a sudden knock on the door caught their attention. Jinwoo checks to see if Cha Hae-In has come again, but instead, he finds Park Jong-soo, the guild master of the Knights Guild, along with his guild members. Their sudden visit surprises both Jinwoo and Jinho. As they all sit down, Park Jong-soo shows a video of a massive gate. He explains that while the size of a gate doesn't always determine its rank, the amount of mana coming from this one is overwhelming. Jinwoo asks if it is an S-rank gate, but Park Jong-soo says it's not. However, it is the largest gate ever seen in Busan City. Hearing the name of the city, Jinwoo remembers Juhee and thinks about asking her to treat him to sushi. Meanwhile, Park Jong-soo explains that the Hunter Association won't let his guild clear the gate because they don't have any S-rank hunters. But he adds that if Jinwoo joins them, the association might reconsider. He promises a generous reward in return. Yerim, one of the Knights Guild members, secretly hopes to get Jinwoo's autograph. Park Jong-soo then explains that normally, an S-rank hunter gets a 10% share of the raid's profits, but he is willing to offer Jinwoo 20%. Jinwoo, however, asks for 50%. He also makes it clear that he will only work with them if they treat him as a guild, not just as an individual hunter. He then reveals that he is in the process of forming his own guild, the Ahjin Guild. Park Jong-soo hesitates and offers 40% instead, but Jinwoo refuses. He makes it clear that he isn't negotiating with the Knights Guild. Realizing that Jinwoo is not an ordinary hunter despite his young age, Park Jong-soo requests that Jinwoo at least take care of the dungeon boss. Jinwoo agrees, and Park Jong-soo informs him that since the gate has been open for a while, they will start the raid tomorrow. He then offers Jinwoo a ride to Busan, but Jinwoo declines, saying he has plans tonight. However, he promises that he won't be late for the raid. As they prepare to leave, Kim Yoontae, a Knights Guild member, notices something strange. Jinwoo's shadow seems to be moving. He points it out to Park Jong-soo, but Jong-soo dismisses it and jokes that Kim Yoontae might be drunk. Suddenly, Jinwoo gets a call from an unknown number. He excuses himself to answer and is surprised to hear his mother's voice. Jinwoo asks if she got a new phone, and she confirms that she just wanted to hear his voice. She asks if he is busy, and Jinwoo happily replies that he isn't. He then suggests having dinner together, and his mother agrees. The next day, the scene shifts to Busan, where the Knights Guild members are waiting at a high-tier A-rank gate. Park Jong-soo starts to regret not insisting that Jinwoo come with him. He worries that Jinwoo might not show up and hopes he won't be late since the raid is about to start in 5 minutes. Meanwhile, Jinwoo looks at the cloudy sky and hopes that his sister, Jinah, remembered to bring her umbrella. Deciding that it's time to go, he uses his shadow exchange skill to teleport. Jinwoo arrives and is surprised. The gate looks much bigger than in the video. He sees 2 extra teams, a mining team and a hauling team, along with the strike squad. The squad has 13 A-rank hunters and 20 B-rank hunters. Jinwoo is impressed by how many strong hunters are in the Knights Guild. He thinks it makes sense since this guild has the most A-rank hunters. The Knights Guild hunters are happy to see Jinwoo. They praised him for what he did in the Jeju Island raid. One of them asks how he can summon his dark soldiers and if they should call them summoned beasts. Jinwoo is surprised by their excitement as they gather around him, but then Jong Yaram stops them. She tells them not to bother Jinwoo and introduces herself as the main healer of the Knights Guild's elite strike squad. She says that since Jinwoo is their leader, they should work well together. Jinwoo looks confused. He asks Park Jong-soo if he didn't tell them who the real leader is. Park Jong-soo explains that for today's raid, he will be in charge. The hunters don't look happy. They ask why Park Jong-soo is leading when Jinwoo is here. Jong-soo says that Jinwoo will stay in the back to protect everyone. One hunter boldly asks why they even need protection, saying they are not weak. Everyone is shocked that he spoke like this to Jinwoo. Jong-soo just smiles and says his team can be reckless, but that's just how the Knights Guild works. Jinwoo sees their confidence and simply says, it means they're confident. Then Jong-soo checks the time and decides to start the raid. The scene then shifts to a school, where 3 students are searching for plaster figures in a storage room. They complain about their teacher making them do all the hard work. As they search, they notice that the room is dusty and has not been used for an entire semester. To their shock, they discover a gate nearby and begin to panic. One student tries to calm the others, saying that gates usually take a week to fully open and that only hunters can enter them. But another student remembers that the room has been abandoned for a long time and worries that the gate might open at any moment. Suddenly, the gate cracks open. A magic beast emerges and grabs one of the students by the head. The student screams for help, but the beast crushes his skull, killing him instantly. The other students try to escape, but the magic beasts brutally kill them all. It is explained that these creatures are natural-born predators. Even though they are not highly intelligent, they are far superior to humans when it comes to tracking and hunting prey. The 2 beasts become excited by the smell of fresh blood but control their instincts to focus on their mission. They had been hiding in the dark for an entire week, waiting for the right moment. Now, activating their 6th sense, they begin their hunt. One of the orcs observes that the structure of the school looks like a castle, with multiple levels above them. With that in mind, they decide to begin their hunt for more prey humans. One of the orcs tells his companion to bring the rest of their group. Their first goal is to find and kill all the humans in the school so they can take control. After that, they will focus on their real target. An orc walks toward a group of students. Before they can run, he swings his weapon and kills them all. Meanwhile, at the Hunter Association, an emergency call comes in. A scared girl says monsters are everywhere in her school. The operator asks if there was a dungeon break and where she is calling from. The girl is hiding in a bathroom, covered in blood. She says her friend is dead. The operator asks how many monsters there are and if any are close to her. The girl, shaking, says she doesn't know, all she can hear are screams. The operator tries to calm her, saying hunters are coming. The girl asks if she will really be safe. The operator then asks what kind of monsters they are. The girl says she has seen them on TV but can't remember their name. The operator asks her to describe them. She says, they have green skin. The operator's face changes. He knows they are orcs. He quickly tells the girl to escape because orcs can smell humans. Before she can answer, she suddenly screams and begs for help. The operator listens, his face pale from fear. At school, students run for their lives. One girl stops, worried about her friend, but another tells her that hunters will handle it and pulls her to run. The orcs keep killing students without mercy. One orc complains that too many students escaped, but another tells him not to worry, there are still many left. They confirm that all exits are blocked, so they decide to search another floor for more humans. The orcs destroy everything as they move through the school. In one classroom, a group of students stacks chairs against the door. They are shaking, trying to prepare for a fight. Suddenly, the door bursts open. The students freeze in fear as the orcs step inside. One orc walks toward them, his weapon dripping with blood. Panicked, a student tries to escape through another door. But when he opens it, another orc is there. The orc kills him instantly. One of the orcs stops and sniffs the air. He smiles and says, "I can smell a human with a lot of mana." The orc decides to eliminate the strong presence first. Jinah and her friend stand frozen, horrified by the destruction surrounding them. Jinha's mind races, thinking of Jinwoo, silently wishing for his help. Then, Han Song-yi suddenly speaks up, revealing that she is also an awakened being, though only at the lowest rank, E. Jinha quickly tries to stop her from saying anything more, but it's too late. One of the orcs turns to them and asks if Song-yi is the human they were sensing. The other orc shakes his head and says no, there is an even stronger presence nearby. Their attention shifts to Jinha. The orcs confirm the energy is coming from her and decide to kill her first. An orc raises his weapon and swings. Jinha and Song-yi shut their eyes, their bodies trembling in fear. But the attack never lands. A high orc suddenly appears, stopping the blow with ease. Jinha stares in shock and asks if Jinwoo sent them. The high orc doesn't answer. Instead, he delivers a crushing punch to the attacking orc, sending it flying out of the building. The other orc is left speechless, unable to believe the overwhelming strength of this newcomer. Before he can react, two more high orcs step forward. Now, Jinha is surrounded, but not as a prisoner. The three high orcs stand like guardians, ensuring no one dares to harm her. Meanwhile, at the raid site, Park Jong-soo and the Knights Guild team are deep inside the dungeon when Park Jong-soo suddenly spots a twin-headed ogre. His eyes widen, and he immediately warns everyone. The massive creature roars and charges at them. Park Jong-soo swiftly raises his shield, activating a defensive skill that absorbs the impact. The force is so powerful that it creates shockwaves across the dungeon floor. "Yoontae, now!" Park Jong-soo shouts. Without hesitation, Kim Yoontae lunges forward, his sword slicing through both of the ogre's eyes. Other fighters seize the opportunity, leaping in and slashing at the monster's hands. Mage hunters follow up, engulfing the beast in flames. The battle ends quickly. But Park Jong-soo remains cautious. He signals the team to regroup. As he studies the fallen ogre, a worried expression crosses his face. "This is bad," he mutters. He turns to Jinwoo. "Do you know what else they call twin-headed ogres?" Jinwoo responds without hesitation. "Gravekeepers." Park Jong-soo nods grimly. "That's right, and they're as strong as dungeon bosses. If one showed up this early, that means," before he can finish, Kim Yoontae calls out, "The undead are coming." Park Jong-soo looks up to see an army of undead creatures approaching, but instead of attacking, the undead suddenly slow down. Then, to everyone's surprise, they start retreating. Confusion spreads among the hunters. "Why are they backing off?" one asks. "Maybe they're running from something even worse," another suggests. Jinwoo watches carefully, unimpressed. He had expected a challenge from this high A-rank gate, but so far, it has been underwhelming. Suddenly, Jinwoo felt a strange feeling creeping up his spine. Jinwoo keeps sensing something strange from the shadows he left with Jinha. His instincts tell him something is wrong. He turns to Park Jong-soo. "I have to leave. There's something I need to take care of," he says. Park Jong-soo looks uneasy. "What are you saying?" "If you go, we'll be down one of our strongest fighters." Jinwoo reassures him. "I'm not leaving you defenseless. I'll send someone just as strong." With that, he summons Beru. Gasps ripple through the group. "That's the Ant King," someone whispers. Park Jong-soo and the other hunters recognize Beru immediately. Jinwoo doesn't waste time. "Beru will take my place. Protect the hunters. Kill every beast in this dungeon." Then, he spots a group of undead blocking his path. His eyes narrow. His patience snaps, as Jinwoo runs and draws his S-rank daggers, ready to fight the undead. But to his surprise, instead of attacking, they kneel before him. He quickly realizes that this must be because of his power as a high-level necromancer, allowing him to command the dead. Wasting no time, he summons Kaisel and heads straight for the exit. Everyone is shocked to see him riding Kaisel as he commands the wyvern to take him to his sister as fast as possible. To increase speed, Jinwoo activates his Monarch's domain skill, boosting his shadow's power by 50%. Meanwhile, back at the school, a fierce battle rages between the Great Orcs and the High Orcs. One of the High Orcs slashes a Great Orc, shocking the students. The High Orc then grabs its opponent by the head and crushes it with overwhelming strength while the rest of the High Orcs continue their relentless assault. The students begin to wonder if these High Orcs are actually there to protect them. Jinha, worried about Jinwoo, searches for him. However, one of the High Orcs blocks her way, warning her that it's too dangerous. The scene shifts to the dungeon boss of the Great Orcs, where one of his underlings reports that the final seal has been lifted. Their leader, Goroktaru, the chief of the Red Blade tribe, steps forward, declaring that nothing will stand in his way. Another orc rushes in, informing him that the High Orcs are interfering with their forces. Goroktaru, unimpressed, asks how many high orcs they're dealing with. When he hears it's only 3, he becomes furious, calling his warriors weak for struggling against such a small number. Determined to take charge himself, he grabs his weapon and rallies his forces, declaring that it's time to destroy their enemies. Goroktaru finally arrives to confront the high orcs. The great orcs stand behind him, ready for battle. Goroktaru observes the tattoos on the high orcs and mocks them, saying their battle experience is unimpressive. Without hesitation, he engages them in combat. As the fight continues, Goroktaru remains unimpressed. He swings his weapon at one of the high orcs, but to his surprise, the attack is blocked. Acknowledging their skill, he still declares that it's not enough and cuts them down. However, he soon realizes something is wrong. The high orcs are regenerating. Frustrated, Goroktaru quickly figures out that they are under a spell, meaning no matter how many times he cuts them down, they'll keep coming back. Annoyed, he thinks to himself that he could kill hundreds of them if necessary. Then, a strange voice echoes in his mind, commanding him to kill the humans. The command grows stronger, clouding his thoughts. Realizing that the only way to win is to eliminate the source of the regeneration. Following his orders, the great orcs relentlessly stab and slash at the high orcs, pinning them down. Meanwhile, Goroktaru advances toward Jinah, sensing powerful magic coming from her. He grabs her by the head, intending to kill her. But before he can do anything, an overwhelming presence suddenly fills the air. His body trembles uncontrollably as he instinctively drops Jinah. Han Sang-yi rushes to her side, checking if she's okay. Looking outside, Goroktaru senses something approaching at incredible speed. Fear grips him as he yells for his forces to brace the impact. Kaisel bursts through the school, and Jinwoo steps forward. He walks straight to Jinah, gently patting her head to reassure her that she's safe. Grar, still paralyzed by fear, watches in disbelief. Seeing his sister in such a vulnerable state, Jinwoo's expression darkens. Goroktaru tries to introduce himself as the chief of the Red Blade tribe, but Jinwoo cuts him off with a commanding tone and cold gaze, telling him to shut up and wait. His overwhelming presence fills the room as he checks on the students. Han Sang-yi assures him she's fine but internally shivers at the terrifying aura surrounding him. Jinah, overwhelmed, starts crying. Seeing this fuels Jinwoo's rage. He immediately summons Igris to guard her and commands a few of his shadows to escort the other students to safety. Goroktaru watches in horror as Jinwoo summons shadows with ease. Realizing the terrifying truth that Jinwoo was the one controlling the immortal high orcs, he panics and tries to flee. But Jinwoo coldly warns him not to move. Jinwoo uses Kaisel to get the students out of the building. Goroktaru finally understands the true source of the High Orcs' power and demands to know who Jinwoo is and how he can speak their language. But Jinwoo simply walks toward him in silence. Realizing he won't get an answer, Goroktaru orders his warriors to attack. One of the great orcs lunges at Jinwoo, but before it can strike, Jinwoo grabs its arm and crushes it with ease. The orc screams in agony as Jinwoo flips it over and slams it into the ground, then stomps on it, finishing it instantly. Two more great orcs charge at him, but Jinwoo uses his commander's touch to suspend them in the air. He then crushes them effortlessly. The brutal display terrifies the remaining orcs, but they continue their desperate attack. Jinwoo, moving faster than they can react, eliminates all of them in seconds. Goroktaru is horrified, unable to comprehend Jinwoo's overwhelming speed. Before he can react, Jinwoo grabs him by the head and slams him against the wall. Looking at the lifeless bodies of his fallen comrades, Jinwoo demands to know why Goroktaru is attacking humans. Goroktaru, still dazed, confesses that he hears voices commanding him to do so. Jinwoo narrows his eyes and asks if those same voices tell him to attack him as well. Seeing Jinwoo's terrifying expression, Goroktaru drops all pride and starts begging for his life. But Jinwoo isn't interested in excuses. He coldly tells Goroktaru that since he doesn't even see him as human, there's no reason to show mercy. With that, Jinwoo finishes him off. Meanwhile, in the high-ranked dungeon, the Summon Ant shadows are growing restless, making the guild hunters nervous. Park Jong-soo knows they can't afford to back down now, fearing that failure would ruin their reputation. Just then, Beru appears right in front of him, startling him. Jong-soo, trying to keep his composure, orders the team to continue the raid. But before he can react, Beru vanishes and reappears almost instantly, throwing the severed head of a magic beast at Jong-soo's feet. Jong-soo stumbles back in shock as the other hunters rush to check on him. He reassures them he's fine and takes a closer look at the head. It belongs to a Death Knight, one of the strongest creatures in the dungeon. Realizing that Beru took it down in mere seconds, Jong-soo is both terrified and amazed. He smirks, thinking about the valuable essence stone they can retrieve from it. But before he can even ask if anyone wants to back out, he realizes the entire team has already started moving toward the boss room, leaving him behind. Jong Yirim argues with an ant shadow about eating the vampire. She insists that the vampires should be left alone, but the ant ignores her, slashing her shoulder and eating a vampire while glaring at her. Before things escalate, Beru steps in, stopping the ant shadow. He then uses healing magic to heal Yirim's wound. Shocked, Yirim wonders how a summoned beast is better at healing than she is. With that settled, the team finally moves forward and opens the entrance to the dungeon boss. The team opens the entrance to the boss room and immediately freezes in fear. Standing before them is the Arc Lich, surrounded by 4 Death Knights. The mere sight of him sends chills down their spines. Jeon-soo's mind races as he recalls the disaster caused by an Arc Lich in the past, how it wiped out the Dragon Guild, one of China's most powerful hunter groups, and nearly caused a massive dungeon break. If not for Liu Jigang's intervention, China would have faced a catastrophe. Kim Yoon-tae, sensing the growing tension, asks what they should do. But before anyone can answer, an army of undead emerges from behind them. Jeon-soo quickly realizes that the ones not devoured by the ants have revived. Thinking fast, he orders the team to block the door and Yirim uses her sacred shield technique to hold off the undead. Jong Yirim warns that she can only maintain the shield for 5 more minutes. Panic starts to creep in. Without Jinwoo, their chances of survival are slim. Just as desperation sets in, Beru appears out of nowhere. The Arc Lich narrows his glowing eyes at Beru and immediately recognizes the shadows. His voice trembles as he questions why the shadow personal army is attacking him. Beru coldly responds, stating that only those chosen by the monarch may exist, implying that the undead before him are not. The Arc Lich refuses to believe it. He demands to speak with the king directly, but Beru ignores him, lunging forward with terrifying speed. "You have a lot to say for someone who was about to die," Beru growls. With a single strike, he rips out the Arc Lich's green heart and crushes it in his grip. The moment the boss falls, the entire undead army collapses. The Night Guild hunters stand in stunned silence. They had braced themselves for a brutal battle, yet Beru ended it with just one blow. Letting out a deafening roar, Beru sends a chill down their spines. Jeon-soo, still in shock, mutters that he can't believe Beru is this powerful. Meanwhile, Kim Yoon-tae, watching in awe, jokes that with soldiers like these, Jinwoo doesn't even need to step inside the gate, his army alone is enough to clear entire dungeons. Jeon-soo considers summoning so many shadows must drain Jinwoo's mana, but even if he can only summon half of them, he's still stronger than an entire major guild. Kim Yoon-tae suggests they should bring Jinwoo's guild under their wing. Jeon-soo immediately rejects the idea. Not bring, but rather form an alliance. He insists that a partnership between the world's strongest hunter and the Night Guild sounds far more respectable. Kim Yoon-tae isn't convinced. "Are you sure he even needs us?" he asks. "He could clear dungeons alone." Jeon-soo nods but reminds her that no hunter is exempt from the minimum hunter requirement. No matter how powerful Jinwoo is, he still needs a full team to legally enter high-ranked dungeons. That's where they come in. They can provide the necessary numbers, while Jinwoo significantly boosts their strength. It's a win-win. Kim Yoon-tae grins. "So, we're just riding on his coattails?" Jeon-soo waves off the comment. "No, consider it as a reliable support." Meanwhile, outside the school, Hunter Association members are recovering bodies and trying to manage the chaos. A grieving mother searches for her son, desperately pleading to see him one last time. When they bring her his body, she breaks down in tears. Elsewhere, Chairman Go Gun-hee sits with Jinwoo, updating him on the situation. He informs Jinwoo that 213 students made it out safely, and they managed to rescue 10 more survivors from the building. But despite this, the chairman can't shake the feeling that this tragedy could have been prevented. He pulls out his phone, showing Jinwoo a disturbing graph. It reveals a sharp increase in gate appearances in Southeast Asia over the last 6 months. The same trend is happening worldwide. That's not all, the chairman adds. More awakened beings are appearing too. Jinwoo listens carefully, realizing that the world itself is changing. The chairman then gets to the real reason for their meeting. He hands Jinwoo official documents filled with requests from major countries, all wanting to meet him. He adds that some have likely already reached out through unofficial channels, like the Federal Bureau. The chairman sighs. "We can't stop them, Jinwoo. All we can do is protect your personal information. The choice is yours." But then, the chairman lowers his voice. "If you leave Korea, I'm not sure our country will be able to keep up with the changes." As they arrive at the hospital where Jinah is being treated, the chairman makes one final request. "Stay in Korea, Jinwoo. I'll give you anything you need. We've already lost 3 of our 10S rank hunters. We can't afford to lose more." Jinwoo considers this for a moment before making a request. "Then let me enter high-ranking gates alone." The chairman's eyes widen. "You're asking me to remove the minimum hunter requirement?" Jinwoo nods. The chairman rubs his temples. That rule exists to prevent unnecessary deaths. But then, realization dawns on him. Wait, is that why you formed your own guild, just for this? Jinwoo smiles slightly. Yes. The chairman shakes his head but can't help but be impressed. This won't be easy, but leave it to me. As the camera flashed repeatedly, the cameraman finally looked up after one last shot and complimented Yoo Soohyun for her amazing performance. Soohyun wasn't just a star in front of the camera, she was a famous Korean actress and model, and on top of that, an A-rank hunter. As she wrapped up the shoot, her phone buzzed. It was a call from her cousin Jinho. Hey, he said casually, you wanna join our new guild? Don't worry, no work needed, just your name on the paper. Soohyun raised an eyebrow. Guild? What are you even talking about? Jinho explained that instead of being a PR ambassador for their father's guild, maybe she should consider joining his. They were still one person short of making it official. Still unsure, Soohyun reminded him that their older sister Jinhee was coming back to Korea, but Jinho brushed it off and repeated that they needed one more founding member. Laughing, Soohyun teased that he was probably getting scammed by someone shady, but Jinho just grinned. You'll be shocked when you see who this shady guy is. Intrigued, Soohyun headed to Jinho's office. When she walked in, she immediately locked eyes with someone who completely caught her off guard. Sung Jinwoo turned to look at her and caught her staring. Jinho made the introduction. This is my cousin Soohyun. She's an A-rank hunter. Soohyun's eyes widened. Wait, your Sung Jinwoo? The guy who disappeared after crashing Lee Min-sung's press conference? Jinho laughed. Come on, you're the real celebrity in the family. But Soohyun couldn't hide her excitement. She was excited to meet Jinwoo face to face. Jinwoo quietly observed the family. Jinho, a D-rank. Soohyun, an A-rank. He started wondering if awakenings might run in families. His own father had been a hunter too. He asked Soohyun, did Jinho explain everything? She nodded. Yeah, you guys need one more founding member, right? Jinwoo warned her, joining us will attract attention. You sure you're okay with that? Soohyun shrugged. Anything's better than working with Jin-sung. Jinwoo paused. Jin-sung? Jinho replied, our older brother. He's kind of infamous. Soohyun added, bad attitude, and already kind of notorious. As Jinwoo thought about what he just heard, Soohyun moved in a little closer. Hesitating for a second, she smiled shyly. Would it be alright if we took a selfie? Jinwoo agreed, and after snapping the photo, Soohyun posted it online. It blew up fast. Meanwhile, Cha Hae-In saw the photo and froze. A strange uneasiness settled over her. Her heart ached in a way she didn't understand. Seeing Jinwoo with another woman, especially someone like Soohyun, left her feeling deeply unsettled.